Hey, what's up, everybody? It's J-Rock right here. Today I'm gonna be hitting you with another comic book review. Today we're gonna be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Volume 2 from the 2011 series. So if you like that type of content or that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way it'll keep you updated on my future content. That is, if you like comic-related content. Okay, guys. So this covers issues 5 through 8, and it's written by Tom Waltz, artwork by Dan Duncan. So the first four issues, being volume one, we got introduced to all the turtles, to April O'Neil, Baxter, Stockman, Krang, to all the main players, Casey Jones, Splinter, and how they mutated. We also got introduced to this new villain that wasn't around in the cartoons, as far as I remember, or in the original series. His name is Hobbs. He's shaping up to be a very cool villain, the original new character, and he kind of takes a Shredder role, but then they do it with a twist where Splinter, instead of scratching Shredder, he scratches this cat, and that cat gets mutated into a anthropomorphic animal. So I really liked Volume 1. Now, Volume 2, the execution on this volume, the way they told the story and everything was really good. It was solid. Just the story itself, the idea, I had a few issues with it. And we'll get into them as I talk about the story. So you'll read along with me, and as we get to certain parts of the plot or the story that I kind of wasn't with, I'll explain to you why and so forth. So in this volume, you get a lot of character development. You start giving each player their own personalities and differentiating each one from each other. Because in volume one, all the turtles were basically kind of the same. They didn't change much in terms of the way they acted or spoke. Also, they all had the same bandana, the red one. So here, right in the beginning, it explains to you that it's been a few months, right? They've been training Raphael. He's learning how to fight like them. And now they all speak different. Raphael speaks like a tough guy. Michelangelo speaks like a surfer dude. Donatello speaks like a very pretentious and I'm smart. I'm the smartest guy in the room. So they all get their personalities that we come to know them for, and you could tell by the dialogue and the way they speak to each other. So you can tell as to some time has passed, Raphael has learned to fight like a ninja, like the rest of the turtles. You gotta remember, they've been training for a year. He just came into the fold, so they're more experienced than him. So yeah, we get that, and we start getting some development with Casey Jones. You start finding out he goes to a college. He's on a hockey team. He's on a scholarship because he's good at hockey, but he's not so great at studying. Right? Your typical jock storyline where they need help with their studying, but they're great at sports. Okay, so we got that going. So you get some depth in the character. He does actually have a life. He doesn't just go around beating the shit out of criminals, basically, right? And we get April O'Neil, since this whole thing with the Ninja Turtles happening with the Foot Clan. She's been startled and she's been thinking, I need to learn how to defend myself because these ninjas are gonna keep coming after me. So she needs some type of trainer. Turns out Casey Jones, as a side gig, he's teaching people how to fight, like how to self-defense classes, basically. So she shows up, and this is where the two meet. They meet. He's her instructor, teaching her how to defend herself, and he finds it odd. He goes, self-defense is one thing, but the stuff you're asking me to teach you now, yes, as you're evolving as a student, you're asking for a lot more than self-defense. And like he's like, who are you trying to fight? Like, what are you going after? He starts seeing how this is a little shady. It's a little something kind of. It's a little mysterious, right? So once they started getting to know each other, he's talking to her. She explains to him, "This is gonna sound crazy to you, but where I work, some ninjas attacked me." She tells him the whole story. Once she tells him the whole story, he goes, "So four turtles in a lab and a rat." He goes, "Nah, I don't think you're crazy at all." And he starts putting the pieces together, like these new characters I just met, these Ninja Turtles, and this girl. I think somehow their lives intertwine. He says, "You might want to meet some people." He takes her to meet the turtles. So we get back to Splinter and the turtles. Splinter's going back home, but the Hobbs gang, you know him, they're tracking him. So he has to shake them off, make sure he doesn't lead them directly to the sewers to his hideout. So he has to be sneaky about it. And while he's doing this, he's telling you a story and the narrate hundreds of years ago in the past about Hamato Yoshi and Rukusaki. We all know this legendary story of how the Ninja Turtles is beef started, a rivalry with these two clans, with the Foot Clan and the Turtles, right? But here it's been changed, it's been modernized. But I had some issues with this because, well, let me explain it first. You had these two characters. They were both leaders of this clan, the Foot Clan. And one just started, first they fought for honor and so forth, but little by little they started turning more into a gang, more ruthless, more into just your typical street gang. And Urokusaki was very vicious and, he's killing people and so forth. Hamato Yoshi goes like, I don't want any of that. I don't want to be part of this group anymore. So in wanting to leave the group, Urokusaki says, you disgrace the group. You can't just leave. So he vows to get revenge on him for being so disrespectful, just saying he could just leave and leave him hanging, right? So, man, this is brutal. I'm surprised they even showed this in a comic book, what happens here. This story is very sad. It was like, oh my God, like, did they really go here? Did they really do this? I didn't think they were going to do it, and they did. Hamato Yoshi goes home to his wife. Kosaki tries to have a showdown with him, and in challenging him, he kills the wife. So once he kills the wife, Hamato Yoshi vows revenge on Urokosaki. Once he vows this revenge, the wife, before dying, she goes, nah, escape with our children. They have 4 kids. He escapes with the kids, so he honors her last wishes before she passes away. He leaves with the kids. They start a new life. Once the kids are older, like 10 years later, they're no longer toddlers that are 1 or 2. They're now 12, right? They're a little more grown up. And now a new player shows up, and he goes, Urokosaki. This guy's clearly Shredder. You see him, the way he's dressed and so forth. It's Shredder. It's not Urokosaki. And he shows up, and he goes, I'm here to finish the job. Urokosaki couldn't. Shredder just takes Hamato Yoshi and the kids, and he decapitates all the kids' heads off. I was like, wow, like this shit was brutal. Like, it's not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that much right now. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they went here. And this story it's not like the original Ninja Turtle story. That nothing this vicious happens in the original books. These are probably a lot more, we're really 2 volumes in, and they're probably a lot more vicious and they're more brutal, right? So I was like, damn, like I can't, like what just happened here? So he kills all of them. And then Splinter tells you that story was in the past, like hundreds of years ago. So while the story was really good and very tragic, I didn't see how that fit into this current story because it was so hundreds of years ago. It was so old, right? So I almost felt like they just threw it in there. Like they kind of had to throw, this was my issue here, that they like, man, like it felt kind of forced. Like they just had to throw that story in there to pay some type of homage to the original story, to like, they had to at least acknowledge it, right? They had to acknowledge Hamato Yoshi and Urokusaki, because you could have told the story without even including them in this new series. Once Splinter gets home to the sewers, he says, I brought you guys some gifts. That's why I went out to the surface. So what he brought back is, he brought everybody new bandanas. So that was cool. We got to see everybody strap on their new colors. Like, you're all becoming individuals. You're all getting older. So each one will have a separate color, right? And then he tells Raphael, you've been training for a while with us now. Now you're worthy of wielding a weapon. He gives him the size. So he comes with gifts. Once he gives him these presents, the turtles say they bumped into some ninjas. The Foot Clan says there's been some new players in town. There's a new gang here, some Foot Clan. So once Splinter hears about this Foot Clan, he says, and he goes, I need to tell you guys something. He tells them this ancient story from the past. And this was another problem I had. And it's like, okay, now I see why they're telling us that old story that I didn't see how it would fit in. He tells the turtles, so once the story happened, we've been reincarnated. And the turtles are like, what? It goes, yeah, you all have been brought back to life. Like, you're 4 turtles and those 4 kids that died a long time ago. And now you're talking about the Foot Clan, right? A Foot Clan, so that means the story's true. And that means you 4 are the resurrection of those 4 children. So everybody believes him except Donatello. Donatello's the smart one. He's like, I believe in science. There's no science that proves reincarnation exists. And I'm with him. I'm like, I don't know about this story. I don't know about that whole reincarnation angle. Like, I question this idea. It doesn't like we'll see going forward if it affects the story in any way. We just seen them come from being mutated in the first volume. So how did they come? How did they become reincarnated? And Leonardo starts talking about, I have visions sometimes, like these dreams about the past. He goes, so maybe they're like premonitions or something. They're not just dreams. Maybe I'm remembering our past lives. So that's where we're at with that. I mean, they had to find a way to connect that old story with the current time. And I mean, I personally couldn't think of a better way to do it. If you guys have any better ideas, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be interested in hearing some because I was like, well, that's not really that great of an idea what they did here, but I mean, I can't think of a better one, so I guess we'll roll with it, right? I kind of, like I said, I kind of felt they could have just kept telling the story and not even have to include that old story from the past, but then you would not include Hamato Yoshi and Uroku Saki. So maybe going forward, we get more development on that story itself. As of this point, we don't. So that was a kind of a dud for me right there. But then now we get to Baxter Stockman and how insane he is, which I love him. I love when Baxter Stockman is always coming up with his weird ideas. He's like a mad scientist. You see him slowly becoming mad and insane, right? And here he's telling Hobbs, you keep failing me time and time again. Hobbs says, you're giving me the useless soldiers. Give me somebody better. He tells him, I've been working on an invention. He tells him, what invention? He goes, go in that room. And he pushes him in a room and closes the door. Once he pushes Hobbs in this room and closes the door, bam, the mousers show up. They terrify Hobbs. He can't fight them all off. And Baxter Stockman says, so my invention works. If you can't fight them off, man, the turtles are going to have a tough time, right? I know in between this volume 2, there is a few one-shots, and they have it in trade as well, and they're included in the hardcover. It's a one-shot miniseries of Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and I believe Krang. So we're going to get into that trade next and see if they fit in some of the blanks here. Because right now we know Krang makes his first appearance. From as far as I know, we haven't had him in any other one-shot. So I don't know if the first appearance happens in the one-shot or right here. But he shows up. He's in Dimension X fighting this war against another planet or whatever, right? And he needs this mutagen to create super soldiers because he's losing this war. So he goes through this portal to come to Earth. Now, if he's making an effort to come to Earth and talk to Baxter Stockman, that means things are not good, and he's gonna go chew them out. Once he shows up, he's talking to Baxter Stockman how he's just a big failure. Where's his mutagen? He needs these soldiers, and Stockman explains to him how it got dropped on Volume 1, right? The mutagen got dropped all over the floor, so he has to recreate it. He goes, but don't worry, we're on our way to doing it. Now, we're not explained how Krang found out about Earth, how Baxter Stockman met him, how he teleported here. We don't know about how they're in cahoots, how all this happened, right? So maybe it happens in that micro miniseries, but I have not read that yet. So as far as I'm concerned, we have a lot of things up in the air, a lot of loose ends that have not been explained. So maybe they will going forward or in this micro miniseries, which is what I'm going to read next. Also, if the pacing has been pretty much on par with how the original series was, just the stories are told completely different. So if it's any indication, like from what I've seen so far, the next volume should include, we should finally see Shredder and we should see his first fight with the Turtles. Mousers and Hobbs, they finally find where the source is at. They get in a big showdown with the Turtles. The artwork here did a good job. It almost came off like manga. And manga does some really good, epic, long, drawn-out fight scenes. This is how this kind of felt. Okay, so after they had this fight scene, there's like 1,000,000 Mousers and only 3 Turtles, right? So they're not gonna win that battle. They lose that battle and they kidnap Splinter in the process. So once Hobbs takes Splinter, Casey Jones is showing up with April. She goes, these are the guys I wanted you to meet. She sees the Turtles, she faints, and the Turtles are like, who is this? And he tells them she might know something about your past because she knew 4 small turtles that were being experimented on. So this is why this is big news, very interesting. There ain't no time to hear it because they just took Splinter. They're like, oh, this is not the time. We gotta catch up to these guys. They just kidnapped Splinter. So we're left in this cliffhanger. One thing I liked is how April finally met them. She fainted. So that's the one constant we've seen in every Ninja Turtles comic series and every movie. The first time she meets him, she faints. It was slightly tweaked here because Casey Jones met them first and then April, and it's usually the other way around. But either way, that was cool. I like the change in it right here, and I like the original. I like both. Both were done well. And again, the Mousers take Splinter. So it's been a lot of the same, yet slightly different so far. The scene has been great so far. They haven't been revealing too much too quick. We have plenty of issues coming forward to do everything in a timely fashion. I think this writer, Tom Waltz, he did a great job leaving his stamp on this story so far. While it stays kind of true to the source material, he changes it enough where it's his own vision and it has his own voice, like it's his thing. He's not just repeating what's already been told. That being said, once we get into issue like 20, 25, it's going to be interesting. Once he stops going back to the original source material and the original stories, and he starts telling his own stories and introducing his own stuff, it's going to be interesting to see where he takes it, to see once he starts differentiating himself from the original series. Can't wait till we get to that point. So far, it's been a very solid read. Like I said, my one big issue was with that whole resurrection angle to bring the Hamato Yoshi and Uroku Saki into the mix quite yet. Other than that, it was pretty good. If I think I'm gonna rate this a 7 out of 10. Wasn't as strong as the first volume. I gave the first one a 9, but it was still very good, and I can't wait what's in store for us in the next volume. All right, guys. If hopefully you like this video. Thanks for reading along with me and for taking some time out of your day to check out this video. And just check you guys out next time.